A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door to door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Steve, look at all this action as we come on lap 100.
Seven. We're going to go around. This could be the big one.
Hey, four wide in Texas. Time falls back. Bacon, there's another bump. There's another hit. Cox into Miranda. Tate's going to steal one here in Nashville. Are you kidding me?
A brand new season for a returning series is about to take the green flag. Here for Season 2, the No Limit Racing Sim Rap Market Series is off to Daytona and ready to take on the high banks. First up, the ever-classic Daytona Duels Heat races set to set next week's grid. Ignore the graphics on screen. It looks like they did an update from last week, so apologies there. Two 30-lap races lie ahead, though, and the opening race could be on the line. Well, while the graphics cycle through from last week that apparently did not update, it's been that kind of week. Impacted by Hurricane Helene, this is the first broadcast we've had on Bitstop TV in a week's time, and while many have it so much worse off, we got internet back earlier today. So it's been a grind to get ready. It seems like those graphics didn't want to update for us before the show. That's okay. We'll push on and ignore it anyway. We've got 60 laps of racing coming up for us this evening. We can take a look at the Daytona International Speedway track map and take a look at the layout that we know and love so very much. What I was going to say, by the way, is that this broadcast is brought to you by a bunch of partners, and we'll take a look at them on the left side of the screen now. SimRapMarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, Moser Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Trackbar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting. A bunch of partners that come together to bring you these broadcasts this season, these races this season that are going to be oh so exciting. We'll have a schedule graphic next week to go through the entire thing. Again, this is a rush broadcast. We got internet back earlier this afternoon, and I'm just lucky. I am glad to be here this evening talking to you guys about some race cars, virtually anyways, at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. So bear with us. A couple of things will be a little bit unusual for us at Pitstop TV. Next week's broadcast of the Daytona race is going to be even better than what you see this evening. It'll be right back up to par. It'll be where we usually sit and with things we usually have. There are no point standings to go over this evening, so we'll fill in with the upcoming broadcast graphic and take a look at what is upcoming for us, including next week's October the 9th Daytona race on Wednesday at 7:45 Eastern. Before we get there, though, we've got to go through Sunday's race at Talladega Superspeedway for the Icon Cup Series. It's October the 6th on this Sunday, 7:45 Eastern. Just like here in the SWM Series, we'll be going racing. This is for the playoffs, though. They just eliminated down to 8 cars. They've got 8 cars beginning this new round of 3 races that includes Talladega, the Charlotte Roval, and Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how things go, how things start for the round of 8 at Talladega this week. Then we head out to Charlotte Motor Speedway to crown a champion for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Gonna be a bunch of fun. Race number 18 of 18 on October the 8th. We're crowning a champion for that series. You've got to tune in and see exactly how it all shakes out and who goes to victory lane and takes the championship on Tuesday before we go racing to kick off a brand new season here for the No Limit Racing Sim Rap Market Series. We've got cars headed to the grid. We can quickly take a look at who is starting where. On pole, it's going to be Peyton Howell in car number 11. This guy is oh so fast, and while it is Daytona, these guys are already giving him a leg up. He's starting from pole position this evening with an opportunity. I believe he'll hold on to the front row starting spot as well. But regardless, he's already got a leg up and winning this dual race potentially. Dalton Tucker will start from the second spot, starting third and fourth. He'll find Gary Bowman, I apologize, Gary, and Stephen Kirby in the fourth spot. Starting fifth and sixth, you'll find Ryan Dingler and Brian Rose. How about Jeremy Brown and Anthony Masati in row number 4? And finally in row 5 to complete your top 10, there we go, it'll be Ian Brassfield and Christian Light. The rest of the field will go by on the bottom of your screen, and we will instead talk about some Whiplash SimCam's race details. Bottom right of the screen, you'll see that we have 2 30-lap races, unlimited change at the tires, fixed setups rather, no fast fix, meaning no second car in the pit lane. These guys are with their one car, they'll get all night long. Caution laps will count, and it sounds like we have a 65% fuel load cap as well, meaning these drivers can run about 25 laps to a tank, meaning they'll have to pit at some point in each of these races. Cars have hit the grid and rolled down the back straightaway. The Daytona Super Stretch for the first time as a cohesive group. And as we complete the lineup here of some 29 cars looking to make the race, this is just duel number 1. I mentioned there's 2 races. These are essentially heat races, 2 30-lap races to set the field for next week's Daytona race at, I believe, I'm going to check my notes here, but I believe it should be a 40-car race, right? As you would expect with NASCAR-style leagues. 44, it looks like, might be the cutoff based on what I've been handed. So 44 cars potentially starting next week's race, 29 here to try and make it on the inside row of cars for that lineup. And we're going to roll with the punches. Again, talking about how Hurricane Helene impacted us here in North Carolina. I've got it way better than some, but we still were without internet until earlier this afternoon, so this is kind of a surprise broadcast. We've kind of written it out. Didn't expect to be live this evening. Instead, here we are, powering through, ready to go racing for 30 laps here in duel number 1. Wait for the green flag here from Barney the Flagman. There it is. We are racing at Daytona. Love those sounds working down the Daytona super stretch. Everybody up through the gears into 4th, now 5th gear as we approach turn number 3. And the outside lane has got the edge. Dalton Tucker, the 21 car, with the race lead. Stephen Kirby in the double lot right behind him. That's the inside line, though, of Peyton Howell. And let's see, it looks like Gary Bowman down there in the 08 car. He's trying to give a shot to Peyton Howell and get him going. Lap 1 goes complete. Something you'll see next week that we don't have this evening because, again, how quickly things came together today, will be custom number graphics on the left side of the ticker. They'll be themed with the league. So, again, make sure to tune in next week. If you like what you see this evening, next week will be even better as we embark on this new season. Settling in here, one car in the fence. It's a 77 car, Jackson Sparks. Those Sparks grinds up the outside wall just a little bit here on lap number 2 of 30. We're largely going to ignore the race leaders today. Why? Well, the transfer spot is down around 22nd position. That's where we're going to be watching the real battle of this race. And while it might be at a bit of a lull right now, a little bit of single file action right in the middle of this pack, this is where things are going to heat up after about 30 laps when we actually get battling. I'd say after about 20 laps, this is where we've got to be watching the battle go on today. Right now, the final transfer goes to Robert Kahn in the 14 car, sporting a Daytona. Where are we going? Tony Stewart lookalike. There we go. The old Tony Stewart Mobile One paint scheme from about 2016, I want to say. And he's actually going to lose that 22nd spot now to the 80 car of Austin Cooper. That's how quickly things are going to change. So we're going to be watching this little fight here between now Cooper and Kahn quite a bit. Kahn now takes the advantage through the tri-oval and will lead that lap in that battle, if you will. And just as quickly, Austin Cooper powers up on the inside line and takes that spot away in the Lego Ford Mustang. So we're going to be watching this little fight back here a lot today. There's only a few cars back here that would be eliminated, and there's some drivers that have provisionals to get in, there's some drivers that don't. We'll let the series admins sort all of that out and inform us as needed. But as far as finishing in a transfer, we'll talk about that. Up front, though, how about race leader Dalton Tucker leading the way, and now got a 4-car train on the outside lane. You know, here at Pit Stop TV, we recently saw a Talladega race with this NASCAR Next Gen Cup car as we go 3 wide with Jackson Sparks in the middle. He's going to get a push from the 37. That's going to be Andon Mendenhall. They'll get clear to the bottom side and take over the bottom lane. We recently saw a speedway-style race with these NASCAR Cup cars on Pit Stop TV for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series at Talladega. Dustin Stallings went to victory lane in that race, and we saw for a large part of the 3rd stage in that event, drivers running around the top of the racetrack in a single file lane. We don't see that very often in iRacing. We've seen that a lot, excuse me, a lot over the years in the NASCAR Cup Series, though. So it was interesting to see that very realistic move come to life. What we don't see so far is that in this race. We're seeing a top line bias, but we're not seeing everybody abandon the bottom side and go to the top. That could happen soon, though. Because again, look at the strength on the top lane right now. 3, 4, 5 cars, I think. All the way back to Jackson Sparks. Sparks in the bottom runs in 6th. So all the way down through the 6th car in 5th, and now the 43 in 6th. Garrett Austin had his nose ahead of the 77 car for a moment. And this is something to note for next week at Daytona, right back here for the opening race of the season. This is something to note, the fact that you can get up top and have an advantage on the top lane of the racetrack. We could see that single file line emerge. So far, nobody's abandoning the bottom just yet. We've still got that very strong bottom line. They're just sat back a little ways. Down around the cut line, Matthew Montgomery has taken over the final spot in the race. In the number 9, he races with Austin Cooper on the inside, so Robert Kahn has fallen back. And for one of the more unique paint schemes in the field, man, look at this, Matthew Montgomery's car. Gotta love what he's got going on. Look at that, number 9. It is bright orange. It has got green, red, yellow. It's got the West Texas Pepper Traders Incorporated logo on the side and the hood of that car. Got a pepper on the side. I mean, that is one of the coolest paint schemes I've ever seen on iRacing, just because of how out of the box it is and how bright it is. It's hard to miss that Toyota Camry on the racetrack, and I think we'll be watching for him a lot this season. Let's take one of our first onboards of the season and go on board with that West Texas Pepper Trader number 9. Montgomery rides back here in the 22nd spot, battling for it with Austin Cooper. And you can already see from Montgomery's position the front of that bottom lane. So while it hasn't been abandoned just yet, it is starting to really suffer down low. And Sparks, it looks like, is still the lead car in the bottom lane. But it looks like Powell maybe has jumped up, or is it the reverse? We'll check here. The 77 actually has jumped up high with the 37 of Mendenhall. And the 11 is still down low. Howell leading that lane now with the 08 of Bowman right behind. The 16 of Ryan Dingler in tow as well. And there's a bunch of you watching, so call your shot right now. 10 laps in now nearly. About a third of the way through this opening duel race. Call your shot now. Who are you pulling for? Who do you think goes to victory lane? Dalton Tucker, a very strong run already. But this is also Daytona, where literally anything can happen, and he's got a pretty decent lead now. These guys can absolutely draft up and try and mount a charge, go by the 21 car. Kirby, Rose, Masadi, Light, Austin. All of these guys could get in line and maybe go to the bottom side and abandon that 21 car. So who is it that you're watching in this race? And take into account where your driver might be running. Peyton Howell and Gary Bowman have now jumped up top. That leaves the 07 down low as the first car leading the bottom line. That is Jeremy Brown in car 07, and he is going forward with the 1 of Brandon Munger. Already, Alfred Sharing pulling for the 98 car. of Brian Rose. We've got KMC Voices pulling for the 12. That's going to be, of course, Brandon Barrier. I haven't talked about him yet today in the number 12 car. There he is down low in the Victory Media number 12 Chevrolet Camaro. Starting to go forward a little bit behind that Jurgen's Lawn Care 92 of Edward Jurgen. Gives him a shot there to the backstretch, and it's just so hard sometimes to get momentum rolling in this NASCAR Next Gen Cup car. But things have big time changed up front. Look at this. Jeremy Brown has brought the bottom side to life. He's got help from the one car of Munger. They have got a tandem working on the bottom, and boy, are they working well. They've gone from about 6th, 7th in line to up here challenging for the race lead, and for a second, that Elite Designs number 07 had the race lead for just a second. I believe his teammate Jared Rashawn will be in the second duel, so he's operating alone right now. As Dalton Tucker is going to take notice and drop down to the bottom lane and start to protect. He's going to try and protect this race lead, play Pied Piper a little bit. It's tough to do, but if you're, I don't want to say ballsy enough, but we'll say ballsy enough, you can do it. You can play Pied Piper and control these lines. This time by 13 laps will be complete out of 30. Now you're only hearing my voice this evening. That should change next week at Daytona. Again, this being a very last-minute call to actually broadcast this race. Well, things came together in a hurry. Couldn't get Zach Murtis along with us. He had previous plans. But Zach Murtis should be with us for a lot this season. We might have some other guest voices. Zach Murtis, a racing driver out of North Carolina. Runs a lot at Wake County Speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, in a U.S. Legend car. So we'll talk with him a lot this season. On board Dalton Tucker, you're starting to see the 0-0 car come to life. That's Stephen Kirby on the outside lane. He's got that Jumpman logo on the hood. Sim Magic on the side. And the double aught has charged to the race lead here on lap 15. Now again, these drivers have to pit somewhere. My conventional wisdom would tell me to split this race in half. As one car jumps out of line, that's the 77, it looks like. Sparks moving around. He's got some left side damage. My wisdom would tell me to split this race in half, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what these drivers are going to do. In fact, we might see these drivers run this fuel out as long as they can and come in at the very end of the race, try and wait out a caution, which is also a pretty wise decision as Kirby is going to be left here. Here comes the 98 of Brian Rose through the middle. And Rose is going to take over the top side of the racetrack. Lap 15 complete. Halfway down, halfway to go in race 1. Debbie Rose chiming in. So clearly the Rose fan club is alive and well this evening. Dalton Tucker, though, has the race lead by 4 or 5 cars over Brian Rose. Comes that outside lane. Rose getting a push. And Brian Rose is going to go to the race lead just like that on the Daytona Super Stretch. That was impressive. He's going to move up and block Kirby, trying to keep that double out behind him. It's not going to work. Kirby going to power around the outside, and while Rose, I think, might have led that lap, Kirby might have actually had it right at the line. So Kirby coming to life in the 0-0. Love these fan perspectives around the racetrack. You can really get a sense of speed and just how fast these drivers are moving as Anthony Bassotti will take over race lead privileges here. Here comes the 45, Matt Sherry pushing to the front. This race has completely come unhinged. Anybody can get up and lead this race right now. Dalton Tucker has fallen back after leading the lion's share of laps. And through the tri-oval, Bassotti will hang on to lead the lap. There goes the 29 of Moultrie down to the inside in front of Tucker, who goes with him. The 44 is in line on the top side. That is Matthew Taylor. A lot of these drivers are on Pit Stop TV for the very first time this evening. A lot of you watching likely are tuning in for the first time. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, next week's broadcast is going to have all the bells and whistles. Be right back to where we usually are. Today's broadcast, well, it was a surprise. A happy surprise. This time by, 18 laps will be complete. Weather conditions in sim for the very first time this season. 75.8 degrees in the air, 77 on track. It's a nice... For Florida, it's a cool day. For the rest of the country, it's a little bit warm. Up near 80 degrees as Sparks goes fastest. He's back in the sucker hole. And he is going backwards in a hurry. He finally gets in line now in that 77 car, right behind the 43 of Garrett Austin. Sparks is looking back to the middle. You've got Matt Cherry down low, Austin up high, Dalton Tucker's down there. Sparks looking low again, gonna get sorted out to the middle lane. Brian Rose checks up for him. And we're clearly throwing this 77 and 98 back down to cut line territory. In fact, the battle for 22nd is still currently being led by Austin Cooper in the 80. But Gary Bowman is right behind him. Then Edward Jurgens back here in the 92 car. Ryan Dingler, Spencer Ray, Cody Ellis, and Mark Martinek are all outside of the top 22. Now, a lot of these drivers are locked in. We don't know every situation, so we will call the cut line battle as is, knowing that the cut line battle we call to the finish will likely be a little bit different. This time by, we'll have 10 laps to go. Pit stop still looming. We've got to pit once. Anthony Masadi has taken over the race lead and in Mendenhall in the second spot. Matthew Taylor in third. But here comes the 3 of Daniel Wiles on the bottom side. The Crown Royal RaceEPI.com Ford Mustang Dark Horse going to power up. Gotta love a purple race car. He's going to charge. Here's the onboard telemetry graphic down on the bottom right, and look at the pole he gets through the corner. Already into second. Can he get first here? There's going to be first position, but can he hold it down to the tri-oval? He will. Wiles going to lead that lap. He was about 5th or 6th out of turn 2 and just charged to the race lead with, who is that behind him? That's the 29 of Michael Moultrie. On board now with Moultrie. Waiting for pit stops, no cautions yet. And again, I want to urge, this is dual race number 1 to set the lineup for next week's Daytona race. This race will set the inside lane, the next race will set the outside lane. On board with Moultrie, you can see just how much they move around inside these cars, but just how little wheel input you have to put in around this racetrack. That leaves these guys able to make some crazy moves through the corners, as Moultrie's going to get that 3 car moving again. And the 3 goes back to the lead briefly here at Daytona. It's going to be an outside lane run, though, from Masadi and company. Masadi, Mendenhall, Taylor. Bottom line, strong again through the corner. It's that ebb and flow. One lane goes in the corner, one lane goes in the straightaways. Oh, there they go! Crashing at Daytona. Was checking over the driver list, and here we go. Big, big accident. Big crash. Gonna wipe out a bunch of cars. I was just about to chime in about some drivers being locked in and most of the field not being locked into this race. And here we go. Just as pit stops were looming, this is the great separator of who's in and who's out. We're going to take a look at the replay. It was the 77 of Jackson Sparks in the middle lane. He got up to the outside wall there out of turn 2. He's going to have a run here for turn 3. Goes to the middle. And watch this here between Khan on the outside, Cherry on the inside. Just gets up into Khan, ends up hooking the 45. Boom! Matt Cherry hard on the outside wall. Garrett Austin, Robert Kahn, the 96, the 98 of Rose. The 07 of Brown gets through it, it looks like. Very timidly gets through that crash. Watch this again. A lot of blue names involved on my driver sheet. I was handed a driver sheet earlier today. White names and blue names. Blue names needing to race in. White names locked in. I'll go over that here in a moment. Oh my gosh. Carnage here. The first CC's caution is upon us. Take a look here from Jackson Sparks' perspective, racing out of Georgia. Had a big run, went to the middle side. The middle lane, right between Khan and Cherry. Bounces off of Cherry and gets into Khan. They just didn't leave him much room. And unfortunately ends up sparking the big one here at Daytona International Speedway. A long list of drivers are involved in this. Brian Rose is one of them. I want to watch this from the perspective of driver 07. He was just behind it. Got the 9 on the outside. Jeremy Brown, though, going to go real low and real slow and just miss all of this. That's some heads-up driving. We'll slow this down. You'll see the slow-mo here. Robert Kahn. I see the 00. That's going to be, of course, let me find him again on my list. Learning these drivers' names. That's Stephen Kirby. Looks like the 87 came to a slow and then spun. The 14 of Robert Kahn. The 43 of Garrett Austin's got a lot of damage. The 96 car, that's going to be... It's not a 96 car. Is that the 98 maybe? Of something I needed Brian Rose. I swear that's 96. Maybe somebody has the wrong number on their car. This is going to halt things, and if we take a look at the field, they're doubling up, ready to go back green flag racing. Looking at who is locked in, there aren't many in Duel 1. Dalton Tucker's one of them, and Vicente Salas is another. Excuse me, Matt Cherry and Matthew Taylor. Those are the 4 cars locked in. Salas is not here. Then you have Tucker, Cherry, and Taylor. And this explains why Peyton Howell now started from the pole. He was the second fastest qualifier that was in this race, which would make him the 3rd fastest qualifier overall. So Vicente Salas has the front row locked in. Dalton Tucker, he's locked into the show. Matt Cherry, Matthew Taylor, they're locked into the show. Everybody else is a blue name and racing for a spot in this race. And oh, by the way, Jared Washon was slated to be in this race. He did not check in this evening. Instead, it's his teammate, Jeremy Brown. Well, this takes care of pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. No more worries there. It's going to be a straight-up 3-lap race to the end. And again, this is only dual race number 1. We've taken the field down substantially. A few cars out of the race now. William Henderson, one of them. Garrett Austin, another. Matt Cherry is out of it. Matt Cherry, though, was locked in. So into the Geico restart zone, and back green flag racing. Andon Mendenhall going to lead us back to the green flag. Mendenhall straight up to the top side in front of Masadi. That's going to leave Wiles in charge down low. Wiles has Taylor in the 44. Into 5th gear now with Tucker. Dalton Tucker. This time by, it's going to be 2 laps to go. Again, most of the field is an open situation. They don't know if they're going to be racing in Daytona in a week's time. They're certainly hoping so. 1 lap complete off the restart, 2 laps to go. Watch the left side ticker closely. Down around the cut line. Gary Bowman, the final car in right now. Ryan Dingler, the first car out. Dingler's not locked in, and there goes Robert Kahn spinning on the backstretch. No caution. That leaves Dingler out. Gary Bowman in. And that, I think, is going to be how it's sorted. White flag is in the air for this field. White flag is out. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. We're going to fight it out for the dual win. The 44 gets a shove. Here comes the 37 of Mendenhall. He goes low. Masadi there going to push the 44 and get him back out to a race lead. Mendenhall drops back to Wiles. Dalton Tucker looks to the middle. There's the 29 in line. He sits back and forth. That's Moultrie. There's a crash in the back. We'll race it out for the lead. That might help Dingler get in this race. For the race lead out of turn number 4 and to the start-finish line. Who's it going to be? In duel 1, Matthew Taylor throws a block, and here comes Masadi on the inside. They're going to battle it out to the line. Masadi going to take second. It's Taylor. Matthew Taylor first across the line for 23rd spot. Kyle Hall is trying to get back going. Brian Rose is slow. He's going to lose his position. He's got damage. Brian Rose is going to be out of this race. Robert Kahn goes by. Kyle Hall is the final car, open car that is, to make it to the checkered flag. Kyle Hall gets the Mr. Irrelevant tag out of duel number 1, the final car to transfer in. Robert Kahn, the first car out. Brian Rose along with him. William Henderson, Garrett Austin. And actually, hang on. It might be Brandon Barrier. It might be Brendan Barrier. Matt Cherry outside of the top 22. Brandon Barrier, look at how damaged he is. He might be the final car to actually transfer in. It's between Barrier and Hall. And if it works how I think it's going to, I think Cherry is going to bump up, and that will bump out Hall. I think there's drama here on the final lap. Let's go back and see how the crash started. Here it is in the background, down the back stretch. It looks like it starts with the 80 car. Howell's involved. Oh, barrier nearly got through it. Kirby's around. Let's watch this back. Boy, what a spot this 80 car was in. Austin Cooper. And he was the next car to advance ahead of barrier, by the way, so he might be in a tricky spot. He bumps up the racetrack just a little bit into Kyle Hall in the 87. They were all in. They were in a great position, and then it all unfolds in a hurry. Brian Rose there with damage on the outside lane. He tries to get back going. See if we can get another look at it. Slow it down right here. It's going to be a shove from Peyton Howell maybe that gets the 80 car just a little bit sideways. Yeah, it's a shove there. Moves the 80 up the racetrack into the 87. And Howell went with the 80, trying to keep pushing him. That hooks the 1, the 00, the 98, the 87, the 11. All of these cars involved in this final lap. Peyton Howell in it. There you see the 08 in the wall. The 9 car of Montgomery. And that is how we finish up dual race number 1. Unbelievable stuff. Let's follow on board with the 11 car. Yeah, you see, they just went to the middle and got a weird bump and everything unfolds. Howell got out of it in a hurry, though. He powers back to the line and finishes 11th. Let's take a look at the unofficial Duel 1 race results. Finishing first, Matthew Taylor in car 44. He's going to come to the checkered flag and take the win in dual race number 1 over Anthony Massotti. Massotti finishes second, then, of course, Moultrie third. Andon Mendenhall in fourth, Dalton Tucker fifth. See the rest of the top 10, including Wiles, Brown, Brasfield. Spencer Ray checks in the top 10, and Jackson Sparks there in 10th spot, hangs on. Finishing 11th, I mentioned it was Peyton Howell over Edward Jurgen. Cody Ellis in the 4 car, didn't say his name at all. Ryan Dingler there checks in 14th spot, so he makes it in. That crash saved his race. Matthew Montgomery, Gary Bowman, Brandon Munger, Christian Light, Stephen Kirby, and Austin Cooper complete your top 20. Now, looking over who's locked in and who's not, I believe we have 2 cars, and this is unofficial, but I believe we have 2 cars outside of the top 22 in the results that are locked in. Those being Vicente Salas, who was not here this evening, and Matt Cherry in the 45. Dalton Tucker, Matthew Taylor. Matthew Taylor won the race. Dalton Tucker finished 5th. So I believe that is going to bump Austin Cooper to be the final car to transfer. And this page will be full of drivers who do not transfer, including Brandon Barrier, Kyle Hall, Robert Kahn, Brian Rose, William Henderson, Garrett Austin, Mark Martinek, and Christopher Tate. Now, that's unofficial. Take my word for it if you'd like, but don't put all your stock in it. I think that's how this is going to work out, but I don't know for sure. Us broadcasters, we just get handed some notes and get told to talk about it. So that's kind of what goes on there, but that's, I believe, how this is going to work out. Now, forgive me for a moment while I search. We're going to get down and talk with Matthew Taylor real quick, the race winner here in dual race number 1. We're going to grab driver 44 and talk to a Matthew Taylor, an astounding win there at the end of duel number 1. How'd you do it?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, Matt, an astounding win there at the end of duel race number 1. How were you able to come home first?
Man, I have no idea. That was a wild one at the end. It was definitely fun. It was a good racing there at the end. Just staying up top is the key, man.
Staying up top sounds to be the key. We saw the top side have a big run early in the race and get out to about a 5-6 car advantage. Do you think that's going to be exacerbated and be even stronger in a week's time when we go racing during the day?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, you can see how easy it is to roll the top and the bottom. You got to have a lot of cars down there to get the run going. So definitely, if you get enough cars on the bottom, it can definitely work. But the top is where you want to be at.
And it looks like you were locked in coming into this duel race. Does that take all the pressure off of you and allow you to make some moves to get up there and get this win, considering, well, you're one of the few cars that were locked in and you go home first?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I have nothing to lose, you know. I mean, I'm not going out here and wrecking anybody, but, you know, it's definitely take a lot of weight off your shoulders when you're already in the big race, and you can just go out here and have fun with it.
Well, congratulations, Matthew. Good to talk to you for the first time and take a look at your W Energy number 44 Chevrolet Camaro. Good to see you, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
Hey, man, I hope so. You have a good one, man.
You as well. That's Matthew Taylor. Move him back down with his teammate, it looks like. I grabbed him from Playhouse Racing and Dan Half. We're going to learn more about these drivers in a week's time and have more to know about these drivers. But for now, you know, let's grab another driver or two. We got a little bit of time before duel race number 2. Let's grab one more driver. It'll be the driver who finishes second here in that side-by-side finish from, see, it looks like NAS Esports. We'll grab Anthony Massotti, who comes home in the second spot in duel race 1. The Race Redeem Foundation 49 was looking good. Unfortunately, though, coming up a little bit short at the line. What happened there?
I was just trying to play a little conservative just to make sure I was locked in for next week. So I was just, I was going to stay behind the 44 as long as I could, but I kind of saw a hole and I went for it, and we just kind of got together going through the tri-oval right there. So I was trying not to wreck him, but also try not to wreck myself too.
There's an old saying from Ayrton Senna: if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. You see that whole opening, you want to go for it. It's hard to hold yourself back, but is that maybe a learning moment for how to get the win next time out when we come here for the actual race in a week?
Yeah. I mean, I just, I don't think. I mean, he kind of squeezed me going through there. I mean, I don't blame him. But next time I might have to try something a little bit different. But you're just trying to make that move, you know, as late as possible. And it just kind of, that bottom opened up a little, I think a little bit too late for me. So maybe I can get him pushed cleared a little sooner, and we'll just kind of go from there, I guess.
And how about this top line dominance through the early part of the race? Matt talked about it a little bit and saying he thinks the top side's going to be strong next week too. Do you think it's going to be even stronger in the daytime?
I think so. I mean, the biggest thing is, like, tonight, I was running like 75% throttle probably for like majority of the night until I got the lead, and then I realized I was going to be like a lap or two short, so I decided to push the speed, because if I was going to be short, I was going to try to make sure everybody could be short too. So, and the guys that were in the Discord chat with me, they were kind of towards the back. They're like, "Oh, I'm a lap too good," and then next thing you know, they're like, "Oh, nope, I'm like 2 laps to the bad." So that's what I was just trying to do tonight. But yeah, that high line, it's pretty OP right now. We'll kind of see if it changes during the daytime. But the thing is I just want to try to stay up front in that high line as long as possible. Because once you get shuffled back, it becomes a nightmare at that point.
And as we're learning all of your new names and everything here at Pit Stop TV, brand new to about all of you drivers, what's one thing we need to know about Anthony Massotti moving forward into this season?
Well, we'll just I guess we'll just kind of wait to see. This is I haven't raced in probably like 6 months, so I'm just starting to get right back into it. So we'll kind of see if I still got it, or we'll see if I'll be running in the back.
Well, you're off to a strong start here. Second place in Dual Race 1. Congratulations, and maybe next time out, it's just going to be that few inches further forward and a race win for you.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Anthony Masadi there at the end of the race, I think happy to take the second place, but would like a little bit more next time. There you see the finish across the stripe, that close between the 44 and 49. Well, that'll do it for us this evening in Dual Race number 1. Dual Race 2 is on the way. Let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV before we head to a quick break. Next up, Sunday evening, we head out to Talladega Superspeedway. It's the Icon Cup Series. Going racing for race, I believe, 33 or 32. Let's see. I'm counting in my head. 33, I believe. Race 33 of 37. For the year for Talladega Superspeedway. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to tune in on October 6th. And then Tuesday evening, it's out to Charlotte Motor Speedway with the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. That's going to be a lot of fun for their season finale before we go racing for the season opener here at Daytona in a week's time for the Sim Rap Market Series. We're going to take a step aside and get ready for Dual Race number 2. Don't go anywhere. We've got more racing on the way coming up in just a few. Welcome back to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Glad to have you here for race number 2 on the evening, dual race number 2 for the No Limit Racing SimRapMarket.com series. We've got ourselves 30 more laps of racing with 30 new drivers that we haven't seen yet before, ready to go racing. Let's take a look at the starting grid in just a moment after we talk about our partners with the series: SimRapMarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Raceware, Moser Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Trackbar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting. So many great people and partners go into this series and make it possible and make these races possible. We would not be here without them. Ready to go though at the world's center of racing. Let's get into the sim and take a look at our starting grid. On pole, how about Holden McGill? We know that name here at Pit Stop TV. He used to race in the LTAC Cup Series when we covered it way back when in the 2020 era. Sean Boundy will start from the second spot. How about from third, Barrett Morton? Alfie Sharon Jr. will start from fourth. Then it's Michael Matta in the fifth spot, Kevin West from sixth. Evan Williams, Zach Millett will start from 7th and 8th, and then Russell Black and Grant Peterson, we know that name as well, he'll roll off from 10th spot. The rest of the field will roll by on the bottom of the screen. How about highlights like Cullen Johnston and Nathan Parrish there in row 6? Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. Let's take one more look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 2 30-lap races. Unlimited change sets, only for this race. Fixed setups, no fast fix. And caution laps do count. We also have a 65% fuel load, meaning these drivers will have to bid at some point during this race for fuel. The rest of the field will roll by. There you see the 11th row, now the 12th row. Brian Wirtz, the series admin, will start from the 24th spot. Deep in this field. Brandon Cooper, Chris Taylor at the back end there. And finally, just a couple more rows to go. Crystal Villano from the 27th position. Norman Rangel from the 28th spot. And to complete the field, way back at the back of the field, Adam Benefiel and Joseph Tucker. One more time, we'll look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV before we get this race underway. The Icon Cup Series on Sunday, the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series on Tuesday, and looping back around with the SWM Series, the SimRap Market Series, Wednesday, October 9th, to get this season started officially. Into the Geico restart zone, the power is unleashed. Green flag is out in duel number 2. Down the Daytona super stretch for the first time. Holden McGill down low with the 9. And down to the bottom, here comes Alfie Sharon Jr. in the 99 car. He's going to take over the race lead. A run there from Alfie Sharon vaults him to first, but a run off the corner is going to help out driver 34. Sean Boundy going to lead the first lap of duel number 2. Boundy, West on the top side. Kevin West in that 0-1, looking real fast. 31 and Zach Millett is up there. Grant Peterson in the 52 is up there. As we work down the backstretch for the second time now, Alfie Sharon gets a big run out of turn 2 with help from Holden McGill. It looks like Barrett Morton has got the wrong number on his car, so he'll be on track as the 9, but on the ticker as driver 10. So a couple of discrepancies across the field. Holden McGill fastest that lap. Now it's Easterday. Colton Easterday back in 19th spot. And looking across this field, drivers that are locked in are going to include Holden McGill, if I can get the words out. Holden McGill, Noah Rainwater, who's not here. At least I don't think he is. I didn't see him. Noah Rainwater is not here. One car gets out to the outside wall nearly. Oh, and a block there in the back. But Holden McGill, Noah Rainwater, Casey Knighton. Casey Knighton runs the 28 car down in 20th spot. Then Brian Wirtz. Those are the 4 drivers locked into this race. Everybody else is fighting for position. So down around that 22nd spot, again, we're going to be talking about this cutoff line. One car goes down low. Who is that losing spots? It's the 13 car from Team Watson Racing Setups. Cullen Johnston doesn't like the look. He's going to back out. So Casey Knighton is now the first car in. The final car in, if you will. Daniel Half moves in. And we've got cars all over the racetrack. Some down low. It's Easterday coming back onto the field. Easterday, right in front of more cars, able to hang on to the race car. So he'll continue on, but will fall to the very back of this field as one car has completely lost the draft. A couple have, actually. Here's the 4 car of Norman Rangel, who sits in 30th spot, 14, now 15 seconds behind the leaders. Then Chris Taylor in the 57. Adam Benefiel, for all of his accolades in sim racing, is not locked into the show. He's got to race his way in, and currently he sits back here in 27th spot. A lot of work to do. He's got to finish in the top 22, maybe even better than that. For now, we'll focus back up to the front. Sean Boundy leading the race here on lap 6. Kevin West in the third spot. One car on the very outside lane moving backwards. That's going to be the 20 of Colin Terrell. No, rather, that's the 2, actually. Quentin Lee. Quentin Lee is headed backwards in a hurry. He's all the way back here now, falling outside of the top 22. Bringing the 18 of Brandon Cooper back. Benefiel pulls up behind that number 2 machine. Here's an onboard of Adam Benefiel. One car outside lane, getting shuffled out. He gets in line, whoever that was, still learning the paint schemes, the names, and everybody else here, everything else about this field. Want to reiterate, if you like what you see this evening, it's going to be a little bit different next week, even better though. When we go racing at Daytona next week, the broadcast will be enhanced compared to what you see this evening. Just a few things here and there. This broadcast came together in the waning hours of the day today after impacts from Hurricane Helene put us without internet here at Broadcast HQ. But in the middle, here comes Brian Wirtz trying to help the 17 car of Matthew Correa. Correa goes middle. And now we'll get passed up there by the 75 of Nathan Paris. Nearly gets in line, though. And will find a place here because he gets help from the 82 car, the IMB Racewear No Limits Brian Wirtz machine. On board with Brian Wirtz, pushing the ever-living daylights out of the 17 car. Down the backstretch, you see just about even lanes, top and bottom. Everybody lined up now in a pack. One car caught in the middle, hesitating. Where should he go? And that car, it looks like is Michael Matta in the 88. It is. Matta finds a spot in line on the bottom side. The Dale's Custom Diecast number 2 goes by. That's Quentin Lee getting some help from Adam Benefiel. Very even lanes, top and bottom right now. A small advance here by the top side. Sean Boundy leading the way. Kevin West second. Matthew Correa's down low in the third spot. Holden McGill and Grant Peterson have become separated. McGill is, let's see, down in 10th position on the bottom side. There's a car in between McGill and Peterson, in fact, and it's the the 99 of Alfie Sharon Jr. from Holler Boys Racing. Well, just like I asked earlier, we got a bunch of you guys watching. Just like I asked in Heat Racer, or Dual Race number 1 round. Who are you pulling for? Who do you feel like has got the advantage? Who do you feel like is going to go to victory lane here in Dual Race number 2? The 34 and 17 duke it out for the race leader on lap 12, and here we go. Pit stops early. Holden McGill, Grant Peterson, and more. I see the 9 car in. That's Barrett Morton. Austin McColgan also comes in. So pit stops here out of this bunch. They'll come in and take service. This will put them off cycle. They come in at, well, just prior to halfway. They should be able to stay on the lead lap. So if there's a caution, they'll be right back in it. Oh, here comes the bottom side. Correa with help from the 82 of Wirtz. Boundy fights back, gets a run. 3 wide behind him. That lap, lap 13, complete. Question now is, when do the rest of these guys pit? Do they wait until the last moment, try and stretch this thing out as far as they can? Do they pit a little bit early like that other bunch? Got a vote for Sean Ludison in the 24 car back here. He is currently 3 wide. Now falls back. Extreme graphics on that number 24 Chevrolet Camaro out of the state of Michigan. Sean's not a bad pick, not knowing how the rest of this race is going to unfold. He's sitting back here towards the back end of the field, though, 19th spot out of 30. Has to jump out of the gas for 20. That's Colin Terrell right ahead. Norman Rangel about to go a lap down in his dual race. Here comes the field. Ryan Newman nearly gets into the wall. And Easterday has just been passed up by that group that pitted. But here we go. Rangel going to be the first lap car of the season for these guys. And he holds steady on the very top lane of the racetrack. There goes Ryan Newman. Here goes the... a little scrape to the wall. There goes the 09 of Crystal Milano. How about the 64 of Russell Black? And that's contact with the... Is that the 33? Oh, more contact! What a save out of the 33 car of Evan D. Williams. Oh my gosh. Wow. You don't just get hooked in the right rear and hang on to the race car at Daytona. That was incredible. Well, things have changed out front. Correa now leads. The Tasty Donut 17 up top in front of the 34 of Sean Boundy. One more car gets lapped. That is the 57 of Chris Taylor. Oh, you see Boundy took a shot there to the outside lane trying to go by the 17 car. Oh, man. Well, it's lap 17. Better let the 17 car lead. Couple more cars pitting. Quentin Lee, one of them. Ryan Rolsey down in the 50 car. Brandon Cooper comes down. And it looks like way back there you'll see Cullen Johnston in the 13 car coming for fuel as well. Should be down and away fuel only for these guys real quick. Another car ahead there in the background of that last shot. Colton Easterday, 44, now 45 seconds behind the race leaders. Yeah, the reaction, good save, Evan. That was incredible. And Evan Williams now hangs on to the 19th spot. 22nd is actually yet to be decided. Here it is. Brandon Cooper out of the pit lane was hanging on to it for a second. But as they run now, 22nd would go to Austin McColgan in the 51 car. He would have the final position in the race. But anything can happen here at Daytona. Here comes Kevin West down to the bottom side in front of Wirtz. West and Wirtz in the bottom. And a block there from the 17 of Correa. He took note. One more lap complete. Lap 19 now in the books. Another lapped car. This going to be Cullen Johnston. Rather, that's Colton Easterday. Next up, here another lap, another moment will be Cullen Johnston. Johnston with no help. There you see 179 miles per hour for Cullen Johnston. Right up on the outside wall. And there's a pit stop. The 01 of Kevin West. Going to come down in and come to the safety of pit lane with a bunch of cars on lap 20. Oh, and there's a spinner. Easterday gets spun around to the pit lane. Hits the concrete wall. And I think Colton Easterday might be calling it a day. Fuel and go. Splash and dash. Race leaders now around turns 3 and 4. They have a few more laps they can run if they want to. They don't have to pit just yet. This leaves 10 cars in the lead group, plus a couple of lapped cars. My personal vote is always to run as long as you can, unless you want to play that strategy of cutting the race in half. And, you know, at a normal racetrack, not Daytona or Talladega, I think maybe you would cut the race in half. You would pit around 15, like we saw Holden McGill and Grant Peterson do. And I said my conventional wisdom earlier would tell me to do that. But on a plate track, on a super speedway like this, I very much also like waiting until the very last moment. Run as many laps as you can. Wait on something bad to happen, because you might catch yourself in the race lead. One more lap will go complete for these drivers without pitting. And I think that's what these guys are going to do. Try and run this thing all the way out as far as they can and then pit. '22nd currently would be Brian Rolsey. Some more pit stops put Evan Williams outside of the top 22, along with Ryan Newman. Brian Rolsey right here on the back end of Quinton Lee. Brandon Cooper, first car out as they run. This is the battle for 22nd. So far, no cars that are locked in or outside the top 22 to mess with who would be in and who would be out. And this might be the pit lap for these drivers. We were told about 25 laps, so anytime now we can see these guys come on in and set this race to cycle out as green flag pit stops. One user mentioning a very good point. The leader is likely to have less fuel, so he's likely going to have to pit a little bit earlier. That could be here on lap 24. It could be the next lap on lap 25. And here it is, lap 24. They're going to come on in. Brian Wirtz, the first of the line. That's followed by the 34 of Boundy, the 17 of Correa, the 31 of Millett. The 75 of Paris is also in. Everybody comes on in this lap, lap 24. So an opportunity for these guys. You got to reset and get back out there. And first off the pit lane is Correa. Boundy falls back. Alfie Sharon Jr. going to pass him. Boundy likely had to take just a little bit more fuel. He's led most of this race. Matthew Correa first off the pit lane. Where is that bunch trying to pass him? First up in that line is going to be Grant Peterson. Here he comes off of the final corner before catching the field. So that was turn 2. Peterson with a run. Will go by Boundy. Will go by Sharon. In the turns 3 and 4, here will be 5 laps to go this time by. And Grant Peterson has got a big time run. He's 5th. They pitted first. They got lined up. They ran smooth laps. And Grant Peterson, he's not first of the line just yet, but he's going to be first into turn 1, it looks like. Or close to it. They stall out, but they've got that outside line. Peterson, McGill, McColgan, and Morton on the top side. Kevin West now joins that top lane. But Tanner Correa had a really good turns 1 and 2. Gets help here from Brian Wirtz. Those two have worked really, really well together. The 17 and 82 might be a combo to watch next week. McGill now with a run. McGill and Peterson going to take over the outside lane and the race lead into turn 3. This time by Peterson leading, McGill pushing. Here they come to 3 laps to go. Grant Peterson with the advantage. And he's going to lead lap 27. That plan worked out beautifully for them. In the background, Brandon Cooper, the final car in right now. The first car out would be Ryan Newman. Now, I can't imagine it's not, and certainly can't imagine that it's not NASCAR's Ryan Newman. I think just a happy coincidence with the name. This Ryan Newman out of Michigan. The 33 of Evan Williams pushes that 85 car. And the 58 of Richard Lansing sits right behind. So a driver out of Michigan and a driver named Lansing in the same group. They run 23rd, 24th, and 25th on the racetrack. Brandon Cooper, final car in as they run with now 2 laps to go. Brian Rolsey in 21st. And Quentin Lee in 20th. But here we go, back up to the front. The top lane dominating late in this race. Grant Peterson, Holden McGill, Austin McColgan. They lead the top 3. When they come back around, it'll be the white flag. 1 lap to go, and it'll be brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. 2.5 miles to the end of dual race number 2. Grant Peterson leads the way. Now, these drivers are all pretty safe right now, but if they get involved in an incident, they won't be safe for long. They've got to hold it together until the end of this race. No matter who wants to go to victory lane, no matter who wants to start as high up as possible. McGill has locked in the 2nd starting spot next week. Everybody else racing for a starting spot from 4th on back on the outside lane. 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th. It's going to be team orders off of turn number 4 and down to the start-finish line. Holden McGill will not leave Grant Peterson. Peterson's going to go to victory lane in duel 2. Everybody else scrambles behind. And Brandon Cooper is just getting caught up by Ryan Newman and company, but it's going to be enough. Cooper's going to hang on for 22nd and should advance. If my math is correct. Noah Rainwater not here. That might actually push that. Hang on, that might be Quentin Lee, the final car to advance. I'll let admins defer. But Grant Peterson is going to lead us down the backstretch with a race win in his pocket to begin the season. So Grant Peterson to victory lane. He'll be able to do some burnouts here on the front stretch. Light work for Grant Peterson and company. Holden McGill pushing him to the win. McGill will start from 2nd next week. Peterson right behind him. So a reverse order of how they finish will be how they begin the race next week. And I think they'll be happy with that. I think that'll work out for them. All things considered, I think they'll be very, very happy with that for sure. As Peterson wraps up his burnouts, we'll take a look at the unofficial race results here. Finishing first, of course, Grant Peterson in car 52. Holden McGill there in the 25 car finishes 2nd. Austin McColgan finishes 3rd. Joseph Tucker ends up 4th. Russell Black 5th. Then Adam Benefield advances in the 6th spot. Barrett Morton, Matthew Correa. Correa, I've said it 3 different ways. We'll have to get correct pronunciation next week at Daytona. Kevin West finishes 9th. Brian Wirtz finishes 10th. A very strong race out of the 82 car. Really good pusher. We'll have to watch for him next week. Sean Lodeson doesn't quite get victory lane, but after getting shouted out in the YouTube chat, will finish 11th. Zach Millett 12th. Sean Boundy, Nathan Paris, Michael Matta in the 15th spot. Alfie Sharon Jr., Colin Terrell, Daniel Half, Casey Knighton, and Brian Rolsey will all be racing. I've been saying Rolsey, that's Risi. Oh my gosh, Brian, I'm so sorry. It looked like Rolsey on my monitor. That's Risi. Well, now I know. 21st spot, it's Quentin Lee. 22nd, Brandon Cooper. That is the fight to make the race, I believe. Noah Rainwater not in the field this evening, but he's locked into the race next week. That should promote Quentin Lee to the race and keep Brandon Cooper out of it. Should. Series admins will have all the know-how and be able to tell us exactly who's in the race and who's not. Ryan Newman will finish 23rd spot. Evan Williams, Richard Lanning, said Lansing earlier. Oh, man. Bunch of new names, getting used to everybody. Crystal Villano there in 26th. Cullen Johnston, 27th. Chris Taylor in 28th. Norman Rangel, 29th. And Colton Easterday out of the race early, 30th spot. All of those drivers from 23rd on down, we know they won't be racing next week. None of them locked into the show. Well, this gives us an opportunity to talk to a couple of drivers after the show. And we'll start off with Grant Peterson, who goes to victory lane here in dual race number 2. It was his teammate pushing him to the checkered flag. But as they take the white flag in the replay, we'll take a conversation here with Grant Peterson. It's a dual race win for you to start the season. Obviously a good way to start things in victory lane, but how did you work out that pit strategy with your teammates? And did you know that was going to be the winning move?
Yeah, for the race, we kind of discussed a little bit there. Kind of wanted to stay out of the hornet's nest, so we kind of worked our way down to the bottom and pit about halfway through. And we figured if we stayed together and were pushing each other really, really hard, we were going to be able to come out in front of most, if not all, of the pack when everyone else eventually cycled through if it went green, and it did. And then just staying on the top and not letting anyone get up to our outside was really key to being able to pull this thing off.
So far, the storyline of the evening is that the top side is strong. How much of an impact do you think that's going to have on the race next week?
I think for a good majority of the race, it'll be single file around the top, and then once it gets closer to the end, everyone's going to get a little more chaotic and try to make moves to put themselves in position to win it next week. So I think really any lane is going to be where you want to be next week. Just avoiding the chaos is the main thing.
Avoiding the chaos certainly will be important next week. And, Grant, you're not a new name to us here at Pitstop TV. It's good to see you again. How excited are you for this new season in the Simrat Market Series?
I'm pretty stoked, man. We're on a Tuesday league. It's kind of a shorter series, but these longer races hopefully will be able to test my next-gen abilities to put them to the test. I feel like I've gotten better over the last year and a half. I think that's when we last had you broadcasting. So hopefully we're able to put something like that up on display throughout the season. Very competitive league, lots of big names in here, so it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Grant Peterson here on Pitstop TV. Good to see you again, Grant. Best of luck this season.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Move him back down with his teammates and grab Holden McGill, second place, and teammate here to Grant Peterson. And second place is certainly a good way to start things. That's how you'll be starting things next week in the race itself as well. Second place qualifying effort, second place finish here. Can you go one spot better, though, at the end of Daytona next week and go to victory lane?
We're definitely going to try. I feel like we had the right strategy tonight. Car felt great. We're just going to go next week and try to replicate it with what we learned tonight.
And Holden, I was just talking with Grant about the top lane and how important it's going to be. So far, that is the storyline of the week, and I think it'll be the storyline next week as well. How impactful do you think it'll be?
I think it's just going to be a fight to get up there.
Well, it's good to see you again, Holden. It's been a while since we've seen your name here at Pitstop TV. How excited are you going into the season of the Simrat Market Series?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. I got a few races with it last year, had fun with it. Feel like I didn't get to finish one clean, but I felt like if I had, I would have done real well. So good to be here, and we'll see what we can do.
Well, it's good to talk to you again, Holden. Congratulations on a second place effort. Race winning as far as pushing your teammate across the line. Hopefully we're talking to you next week at Daytona.
I hope so too, and it's good to see you again.
Holden McGill finishes second this evening in dual race number 2, and unofficially, very unofficially, what I see in the results page is going to be that Quentin Lee is the final car to advance. And this is, again, I'm going to say it one more time, it's very unofficial. That's just based off of the list of drivers I was handed earlier today. I don't want to say too much, but I think Lee is the final car to advance based on what I was handed. Now, that could be wrong, that could be right. I would check in the league Discord for any drivers wondering. I would check in the league Discord here in just a little while. I'm sure they're going to have more information for you available, and that is where I would go for all information on who is advancing and who's not advancing. But Lee, I believe, will be the final car to advance in the 2-car. Cooper on back, I believe, will be out. That's just what I can tell from my perspective, from my point of view, and my little bit of knowledge. But I'm still very green here to the series. I talked about it earlier. Hurricane Helene having some impacts, and here at Pit Stop TV, we've felt them just a little bit. A couple of broadcasts that were missed, so it's going to be back broadcasting. But this broadcast came together in a hurry, so things a little bit different from usual. A little bit of an expedited show for us. Things will be better next week, even better than this evening. You've got to tune in next week at Daytona, right back here on the high banks in Florida. It's going to be a lot of fun on October 9th to get the season started. In between now and then, we're also going racing at Talladega Superspeedway with the Icon Cup Series and Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Butt Kicker Cup Series for the BRB Racing League. That will do it for us this evening. A big thank you to all of our partners with the SimWrap Market Series. Of course, SimWrapMarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, Moser Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Track Bar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting, allowing us to get this series going this time around. Season number 2. It's going to be exciting, and it all kicks off here at Daytona in a week's time. A big thank you as well to our partners with Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Thanks for tuning in this evening. It's been a pleasure as always. That'll do it for us, though, for myself, Andrew Cardinale in the booth this evening, and hopefully Zach Burtis and company along the way this season. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Got to make sure to tune in for that Icon Cup Series race on October the 6th, Sunday, this Sunday at 7:45 Eastern. We'll see you at Talladega.
A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Steve, look at all this action as we come on lap 100.
Oh, second. Going to go around. This could be the big one.
A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition. has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Steve, look at all this action as we come on lap 100.